Hi everyone, Koget here. In this video I wanted to look into overall control of air units as terran and also some basic principles of microing Wraiths and Valkyries. So I'm just gonna go through controls first, how to use different controls, how to maybe re-hotkey them on your keyboard. I'm going to talk a bit about stacking of air units and some different situations when it occurs, especially in TVZ. Then a little bit more in detail on Wraith control and Valkyrie control. So this is going to take a couple of minutes probably to go through. I will include also the link to the kind of like exercise map where you can just take it and play from there in the description. All right. So without further ado here, let me just jump into a map I mentioned just a second ago, so where you can actually easily train it yourself without spending so much time in looking for practice partners, at least the basics of it. So the map is just a random map I found a long time ago, but it serves its purpose. So let me just take a couple Wraiths here to start with the keys, right? So you will need to use 4 different keys on your keyboard, 4 different commands for Wraith to act at its best and do listen to your commands as good as it can. So the first most obvious one is attack command, which is, well, okay, maybe just before I go into this, with hold in my setup, re-hold key to F. With patrol in my setup, re-hold key to Q. Attack is on A, stop is on S, rarely used, but yeah, sometimes. And we have move, also re-hold key to W. Therefore, you can see that I have actually changed 3 of my default hotkeys into something that, when you lay down your hand on the keyboard, you can very easily access all these 4 keys with one hand, without moving your head at all. And I think it's important to do something similar. You may want to leave hold position on H if you're very used to it, but I think putting it on F makes it even easier to use. Anyhow, I think the convenience of using this setup is really important for your air control, because you're just going to use it with much more comfort. It's going to be nicer, a nicer feel. It's going to be nicer to play it, and long term you will just become better at it. All right, so we have these 4 different commands, and let's now discuss a little bit on how do we use them and in which situation. So for now, I'm just gonna grab. Okay, I'm gonna start with 5 Wraiths. I think 5 is a number that you have to learn kind of like to micro with. This is useful for TVT also, not just TVZ. Also in TVP, you have air control. You can counter some. Carriers or shuttle play with Wraiths and so. So actually, I think it's important. 5 is a good number to practice with for many reasons. We're going to talk later about. All right. So I mean, the obvious thing before starting any kind of micro is you have to stack with something. That usually is your SCV in your base. Can be a siege tank in later stages of the game. I think the most 2 usual targets, an SCV or a siege tank, for stacking Wraiths. And I'm going to talk a little bit more in details in a different video. We're going to have follow-up guide to actual 2-port Wraith build and how to execute it properly. And that I'm going to talk a little bit more on stacking, when to do it and which moments of the game it actually should be done. All right, so stacking is here. We have our 5 Wraiths. For purpose of that map, I'm just going to... This is the map thing. I'm just going to upgrade to 2-2 because all enemy units are upgraded at 2 also. I mean, that gives us some extra damage. Actually, I could have upgraded just to +1, I guess. But yeah, for the ground, I think it matters. So let's go on the first key. So the first thing, I mean, of course, is just attack command, and it's very rare you have to use it from your keyboard. But I think it's just more convenient to to use it in certain situations. But you will primarily use that as just a right click. So what you're going to be doing a lot is just right clicking on units as individual targets, and that will be attack command. Some of you just find it more comfortable to have this big aim kind of like where you can see where you're going to click. But I think primarily in Wraith Micro, you're just going to be using the right click on a unit as a tech command. And I think that the first thing we want to discuss here is actually the combination of that with another most important command of all our units pretty much, and that's the move command, no other than move command. Because that's the trick that, I think now most of the people are familiar with, but still many are not. So this is the main trick to actually allow yourself into positioning your Wraith kind of like, in front of an enemy unit or a unit you want to attack, right? So every time you move command on a unit, they're going to position. So if I go like this and click move command, you can see they go exactly on that unit, like towards that unit with a exact, precise angle there. and that cannot be achieved with any other way, because if you right click on the unit to go, on that unit, you will realize that you press attack move then, right? So it's not possible to move on enemy unit other than with clicking this on your keyboard with W, right? So that's why we have the hotkey to W. You W and then you click on an enemy unit to go onto that unit. Kind of like, you can see Wraiths just react in a way where they will just go exactly on that target. And that is the main thing about any flyer in StarCraft, also Mutalisks and other flying units, is that if you do this, then you will not get into issues of area units not firing because they are not positioned exactly in a good line. I mean, you have the situations where Mutas will just spread, they will not shoot. Because here, if you do this, you will always shoot with all your area units. So let's see some examples. If I go here and I W on that drone, and afterwards I'm gonna right click, right? Then we get this. So it's move command, and then I attack. Move command and right click. Move command and right click, right? Well, that's not exactly how we should be doing this, but you get a point. There actually is a different command, which we're gonna talk about in a second. So basically, the most important practice aspect is using move command. I just press W as my move. Sorry, we should have this hotkey, by the way. The only thing I do here is I fly, around the unit, and then as soon as I want to attack that unit, I will place W or move and right click. That was a misclick. And that makes this extremely easy to fly around non-stop speed and hit stuff we want exactly from any position we like. Okay, so that is just I'm only doing the move command now and right click. I don't use any other commands, which we're gonna go for in a second. All right, so that's important. Now a small thing here: always try to keep maximum speed with your aliens. I mean, acceleration is of course in StarCraft. Therefore, it's important that you can't hit that guy. I think. Oh, you can. It is important that you keep on clicking, as you fly, so you always retain that maximum speed. Alright. You got it. And that was all move command now. Again, move command, W on enemy unit, right click immediately after, and then just change direction as you like it. So that's the most important one, practice with move command. That can also be used for workers, by the way, any unit in the game. We're gonna talk about it in a different chapter. So another aspect, another important thing is patrol, right? So with patrol, you get two main scenarios. So first of all, often you will realize that if you want to use move command and right click on the unit, if the unit is moving or moving quickly, it can actually be quite difficult to do it. So you need more reliable commands where your Wraiths will react instantly, but they will follow some kind of a algorithm what they're gonna hit. So you need to know that algorithm, right? So that's for patrol micro basically. So patrol micro, let's take an extra Wraith. It's important because in all units that are in a stack, upon using patrol, they will all acquire the same target. All right. So which means that with patrol, you can actually hit a single target with all your air units, 100% chance. So it's kind of like right-clicking on that unit with move command, right? But you need to know which unit it's gonna be. So that's the first thing. So let's say here, if I go here and I click patrol, just in front of my Wraiths, as you can see, they will always acquire one and the same target. In this case, Wraiths look at skirts as highest priority. Okay, here you can see a change because some of the Wraiths were not in range of Scourge, so those that were not in range attacked with Hydra. But basically the prioritization here is that it attacks air units first, then it's gonna attack dangerous units on ground, and then it's gonna attack, you know, links, and then ultimately it's gonna attack drones, right? So drones are like the lowest priority in Patrol Micro. So if you wanna actually harass mineral lines with Patrol, which is something that you can do in some situations, you wanna make sure that there are no other targets in the area. So if there's any other target, then Wraiths are gonna prioritize, you know, a spore colony or something. So don't use Patrol there. So they have to be out of that range of that, you know, other unit that they would prioritize. So that's Patrol in one situation. The second situation, which is used. So I mean, maybe I should say. So here, of course, actually a very practical situation is that here you should micro with Patrol because you have to take it from a higher range. When you realize, you know, Patrol gives you that extra range, which you don't get with right click. Because if you do a right click, in a sense that, you know, you press a move command and then attack, you will have to fly a little bit closer. So with Patrol, you can get that maximum range reaction from Wraiths just by clicking a little bit ahead of them when you feel you are in range of that unit, right? So you can see my Wraith has got incredible range, despite these Hydras also having range upgrades, right? So these are upgraded Hydras, so they have similar range, in fact. I think it's similar range. But it's just, you know, that reaction time in StarCraft that makes things different. I mean, that they all, you know, are ready to attack. So that's for Patrol. You should be using for like single target fights. Fighting like, you know, Mutas also is great because you attack one Muta, so there's a bigger chance of, you know, killing it. Although right click also works there. So that's the main situation. The second main situation is, of course, when Scourge chase you, and this is similar micro as with Mutalisks. Exactly similar. I mean, Mutalisks, by the way, they also attack the same way, but then you have a little bit more different practical situations. So here is, of course, Scourge chase us. Okay, there we go. And here, there are two ways of microing this. The first one is with Patrol. So I just take my Patrol and I click just in front of the Wraith, right? Very close to the Wraith. So like here. Alright, so very close to the Wraith, here. Right, that's where you should be clicking. And then you get this nice and clean Patrol reaction that just shoot back, and then you right click to the right, you know, other direction, and you keep moving. But you can also do it in a different way. Let me just show you. And the different ways with move command, it's much more difficult. It's much more difficult, but in some situations it's the only way to remove the chaser. Because if you, with Patrol, if a Scourge is very close to you, you will have to, you know, anyway eat it, because you will not be able to kill it. But with move command, there is a way of actually getting rid of those Scourge, you know, with actually them bugging out. And how do you do this? It's basically you press move command on the one chasing you, and then you right click on that immediately. Therefore, it should bag away, and then you can hit it. So with two, one is gonna hit it. That was anticlimactic. Let's pick another one. So I explained what I'm gonna do, and now I'm just gonna take one and try to do it. So again, we take one of here, and now. Okay, this is not well prepared material, guys, but hopefully one of them can chase us. We need to find different ones. Alright. Excellent. So move command. Have you seen that? So that was just move command doing this. Move command. Okay, now move command was enough because it was. Oh, have you seen that again? It changed the direction of flying. And that's okay. I just misclicked there. So if you haven't misclicked and they attack, they would fly away, as you've seen the first example. And again, I maybe succeeded 50% of chance here, but that's how you use move command on Scourge. If they're very close to you and you can't hit them with Patrol, use move command. If you're very accurate, then the Scourge will go like, whoa, man, what are these moves? You know, super confused, and it's just gonna fly away. And if you right clicked immediately, then your Wraith will just kill it. So that was on the move command, attack move, which is right click, Patrol, and now the last one is hold, which is, I think, least used version, because it just doesn't have that many utilizations, I could say. Okay, let's see here. So the difference between Patrol and hold and stuff is that hold will do the same thing as Patrol, but just have to kill this. Sorry guys. Okay, I'm gonna eat it because otherwise I can't focus on clicking and talking. The difference is that hold hits multiple targets. They are, you know, assessed in kind of a, you know, random order, with depending on the distance of your wave and also priorities in the ground. But basically, you should only use this when having many Wraiths. Like you have 11 Wraith, right? It's the same with Mutas, and you don't want to focus fire one unit. Like, you know, when I have 5, I want to focus fire one unit most of the time because I deal so little damage. When I have like 11 here, then you kind of like want to distribute that over many targets so you can kill like 3 drones in one shot, right? Or 2 drones in one shot, or maybe 2 Hydras. And that's where you should use hold position. So let's look how it looks like in practice. So we approach, you know, an army here, and I just press hold. And in this situation, I hit 1 target. Now I hit 2 targets. Now 2 targets again. 2 targets again. 2 targets again. And so, right? So you can see this doesn't really... Now I right click. I think in this situation, you know, it's just easier for me to clear it with patrol rather than, you know, trying to kill, because I only have 5 Wraiths, so I just split the already small damage, which I don't care to be doing. If I had, just as an example, like 11 Wraith here, then you would have seen this is a completely different scenario. That's where you should be using way more hold. And again, with Mutas it's a little bit different. You use hold with Mutas more often, because Mutas just has got this, you know, well, I don't think they have higher damage and also are just stronger into kind of like flying into enemy units. So, you know, and Marines are also weaker. You know, you don't fight Marines with Wraiths also. So kind of like, you know, hold makes much more sense with Mutalisks, because you usually have too much damage over what you're fighting with. But Wraith has got so little damage that hold is just not so useful. But again, so we go here, and you can see now it's just so much smoother, because now of course this were damage, but you can see I could kill like 1 Hydra, these 2 are damage, and I also can hit some skirts from that. Okay. So let's hold again, like 3 hits. And by the way, and what is important, you have to, you know, sometimes I use move command. I kind of like, I don't right click anymore. I kind of like use move command for every click. Just you know, habit. It became a habit for me, because move command from keyboard, because, you know, you never know when you want to click on a unit, and if you want to click on a unit to position yourself onto that unit, it's always kind of like better to do this with M. But it's just a habit. All right. So now also for this kind of drone lines, you just do like this, that you take, you know, hold position, because you just have that too much damage, right? If I do patrol, like this, now I do patrol, it's only 1 hit every time. And by the way, I just misclick it. Oh, by the way, yeah, that's also another thing with patrol. If units are not exactly in line, like they are not now, it doesn't really work so great. But if I actually do right click here, then I always hit, right? So in this situation, I would do right click. Just I would go like this. If there are like many targets, then patrol is not good. Then you should always use hold, right? So, you know, hold here is best with that many targets. For single targets, use right click. Just, you know, like here, right click, and it's move command all the time, right? From the keyboard. Move command and shoot. Move command and shoot. All right. So I think that explains most of these situations. These are the main key controls for Wraith and some of the, you know, main situations you'll find in the game. I haven't explained much of fighting versus Mutas, but versus Mutas you also should do primarily move command on the Muta and right click. Move command and right click, and then you can keep on moving, meaning that any time that an enemy you know, loses you from their shooting distance, or sorry, shooting range, then you can get away with cloak, or just run away home, or just, you know, use that additional range that Wraiths have over Mutalisks. You have +1 range, so you can actually hit and run a little bit if you're able to, you know, keep on keeping Mutas away from you. Okay, let me move to a quick save game that I have made for Valkirie control. It's a little bit different in some situations. I mean, the basic stuff is the same, but then we have the whole special Valkyrie shooting, right? Backwards, kind of like. Okay, I made a save game, but now I'm not sure where it is. Is it in save? I think it's in save. I don't know what it was even. No, it's gone. Okay, I made a save just to showcase. No, I just the map I prepared for this, but we can do this very quickly ourselves, and I think it's also good because you can do it for yourself, which I think is good. So I just take any island map. Just take any island map. Take Terran. Take a couple of Zerg players. I mean, you can take as many as you like. If you like killing them, you can take more. I think 4 is enough for me. I just want to practice some moves. And put some cheat codes, right? So Black Sheep Wall, Power Overwhelming, or I prefer to do it without it usually. Show me the money, Operation. Okay, so just build yourself a couple of Valkyries as quickly as you can, right? That's what you need to do. And then you have all these overlords on the map and Mutalisks soon you can practice against. Alright. Okay, so specifically with Valkyrie, let's do just 1 and 3 as 2 different examples. Usually you don't get more than 3 Valkyries. I mean, and if you have like 5 or 7, then microing kind of like doesn't become so important because they're just so strong versus, you know, most units they need to fight against. I feel like 10 Valkyries Scourge will never hit them. They're just gonna create that huge cloud of missiles. Alright, so with Valkyrie, of course, you know, you don't really use like hold position and attack. You always want to do this back move or this kind of move with patrol, where just fly on something, and then you kind of like stop in a place, right? Like this. This is also something you do with patrol. So I'm just gonna talk about it now. Like you fly into something and you want to like, like you know, don't move back. Just, you know, just de-accelerate and start shooting, right? Then you do that with patrol. In some situations it is useful, in others not so much. Alright, but now talking about the big move. If you want to play Valkyrie, you have to learn that move, right? That's the thing. I mean, doesn't matter if it's TVT or if it's TVZ. If you play Valkyrie, you have to know that move because it makes it just twice as good as without using this, right? Okay, so the basic move we're talking about is simple as this, right? So we go and just do this, right? So the Valkyrie just goes and tries to attack, you know, the enemy unit, and it attacks it backwards, right? So I go on the Overlord, and then I just go back and I shoot. So this is the simplest version that then gets evolved into a bit more dynamic version. So the simple way of doing this is like this. You just fly onto that unit. You can use move command. Just press on, you know, on your keyboard. If it's more of a static target, if it's a moving target, then it doesn't matter. Just fly, you know, into that unit. And as soon as you feel that you are kind of in range of attacking it, like, you know, for Valkyrie it's like around here, right? I mean, you just have to be like around here. This is the distance to the Overlords that you should start clicking. That's around Valkyrie's range. And as soon as you are in that point, you want to press patrol, and you want to press patrol behind Valkyrie, right? So I'm going to be flying, patrol behind. Flying, patrol behind. Alright, so that's as simple as that. So I fly, patrol behind. Okay, anyone can do this, right? This is so simple. So the problem in games that often you will have, though, is that the target may be very fastly moving, like Scourge or Muta, and you don't position that Valkyrie exactly in a line. And if you don't position this exactly in a line, like I go here and I place patrol, you can see, oh, it just backed, right? Like if I go like this and I put patrol somewhere random, okay, now it worked, but many times it's just gonna be, oh, okay, now it flies sideways, which is also the way of controlling sideways if you like. But, you know, you get the point, right? You sometimes will get the situations where it actually, you know, oh, it just backs. Have you seen that? It just tweaked. And that's the situation we'll run into when, you know, fighting against Mutas and Scourge. For that, I think a more dynamic approach is more reasonable, and that is always to use move command. So let's say I'm just flying like, you know, around the unit. Like here are some Mutas, and I'm flying like this, you know, kind of like horizontally to them or whatever you call it. And when I'm kind of like around them, I will click move command on that Overlord, and then I'm gonna patrol away from that Overlord, right? So it's gonna look like this. So I'm gonna like, okay. So this way, from any position, I can just attack that overlord and then move command. Now it's all about range, right? And you actually have to give it a little bit of time. You can't just instant click it. That's another thing about this technique. You will realize that you can't just instant click it. You have to go like, you know, more like, and then you have to give it a little bit of time to the Valkyrie to use that move command. If you just look like, you know, like this, like click, click, then it's not gonna work. So just remember a little bit of time, right? So you fly around it and just, oh, now it didn't even work. Yeah, by the way, with that technique, sorry, there's so many buildings over here. With that technique, you will find out that sometimes, you know, just don't nail it. And the more you practice, you know, the better you're gonna be. But anyway, with that technique, you always try to kind of like, you know, do this in a way where, now I right-clicked on it, where, you know, you click away from the direction you're approaching the unit. Basically, that's what it is, right? So it doesn't matter if you're sideways, like this, or running away. You always have to click into the patrol into opposite direction of the unit. That's the whole theory, right? How you position towards that unit, what you do in the fight, you know, that the thing to remember is always try to click away. So click and then click here, right? Because I was approaching, in that last few centimeters, I was approaching the unit. So I think that's it for, yeah, for Wraith and Valkyrie control. I mean, that was quite extensive, but I hope it answers 99% of questions. I'm gonna be following up with some guides around actual TVZ builds and, you know, how you can use different tricks in real game. So that's gonna come later. So anyway, thanks for listening in. That was pretty StarCraft filled 26 minutes, and see you next time. Cheers, bye.